Hi. So it's like 3:30 a.m. right now, and I got up so late that I'm actually not that tired. And instead of sleeping, I am just reflecting on something that I've actually been wanting to make a video about for a while, but it's just taken me a while to make sense of my own feelings on this subject, because they have changed over time. And that's what I want to talk about. And the subject itself is fame. Here's why I want to talk about this, or why I think it's important, just in an overall sense. So, I know that I'm an actor, and I'm a voice actor. And so I'm in a creative profession. And so I have always thought that anybody who is in a creative profession, fame is a possibility for you. I mean, it's not an eventuality in any kind of way. It's not inevitable in any kind of way. But I just feel like if you are in a creative profession, it is a possibility. Because, I mean, it happens, right? And so I feel like many people would think that it's not important to think about, because your inner thought is that, well, that could never happen to me. That would never happen to me anyway, so why would I think about it? Doesn't matter, right? And I personally don't agree with that. I actually think the opposite. I think that it is a good idea as like a creative person in a creative field to at least figure out what your feelings are about this, about the possibility of this happening. Because yeah, I know that you will go, well, it will never happen to me, so why would I be thinking about it? But I just want to make this point that I feel like most people that this did happen to, either, number one, were not thinking about it, or they thought, just like you, this is never going to happen to me anyway. And then it happened. And now I'm just going to talk from my perspective. Of course, you don't have to take anything that I say. You do what you do, you. You do what you want. But I am just going to talk about my perspective on this. So, I have never agreed with that approach that I shouldn't think about this. Because, number one, I'm in a creative profession. So, I think it is actually plausible that this could happen. This is not me saying, I want this to happen. This is not me saying, I'm chasing this to happen, or it's like some kind of eventuality. I am just talking about this is a condition that could manifest. If you've been following my other channel, I talk a lot about law of attraction on there, so this is where that terminology is coming from. So it's just like a thing that could happen, because I'm an actor. This stuff does happen to some actors. And there's like no way to know whom this is going to happen to. So my brain thinks that, well, I should at least consider the possibility. Not because I really want this, but because if this happens, I don't want to be destabilized by it. So now if you're asking me, do I want this? Honestly, I'm not sure, because I just feel like I don't have enough information about it. I don't know what it's like. Obviously, I'm not famous, so I don't know what it's like. But I'm also like not opposed to it. But if you ask me, I have always thought that fame is only good for two things. One, it's good for opportunities for you, because it just makes you more visible, which is a good thing if you love your work and you want to be found. And you want to continue doing your work. And number two, helping people. because obviously if you're famous, everything you do and everybody that you associate with and anything that you're involved in, it's just going to be magnetized. There's going to be all this attention going to that thing, whether you would like that or not. It's just a fact that it just happens. So I feel like you got to be very selective about what you do and what you're involved in and how you behave, and I'm going to get into that too. But so I feel like it's only good for these two things. So I don't have like a clear yes or no about it. I have made peace with the possibility, even if it's like a tiny, tiny possibility. And the reason for this is I just feel like it's just my brain's way of processing things, because I know that I am a very private, introverted person. So something like this happening, especially if it like came out of the blue, which that's not unheard of. Like, these things do happen and you can't predict that in that kind of way, I don't think. And so it's just my brain's way of like creating a readiness for an event that might destabilize me, because I am in a profession where something like this could happen. So it's like a way for me to prepare for something that could or could not happen. But if it does happen, I want to know that I am as ready as I possibly could be, because I don't want my life to be like in emotional upheaval. Like, obviously my life would then change in like ways that I obviously can't imagine, and I don't know what it would be like. But the fact is, fame is just a condition, just like all of these conditions that are happening in your life. Just an uncontrollable condition. And if you happen to be watching my law of attraction videos, then you would know that this belief system, law of attraction belief system, my belief system, teaches that conditions are not under your control anyway, but how you feel is. So if something like a condition like that were to happen, I would want to know that I am emotionally okay, that I can handle this. Because, I mean, I've seen what happens if you are not ready for it, or if you don't have that emotional center. You don't know how to center yourself. You don't know how to come back to yourself. You don't have the tools to do that. Then something like this could be like an extremely destabilizing event in your life. And I feel like you got to be aware of that if you are in a creative profession, no matter how unlikely you think this is. Just being aware helps. And so, especially because I am so introverted, I know that if I didn't have the tools that I have for emotional regulation from law of attraction, this is what has taught me those tools, given me a toolbox for how to regulate my emotions. If I didn't have that, I don't even know where I would be. Like, that would cause a lot of anxiety, to say the least. And so, but because I have these tools, and I have had other situations in my life where these tools have really helped me to ground myself, to come back to myself, to just be like, okay, this is an external condition that is happening that is not under my control. The only thing that I can control is how I feel. And I know how to do that. I'm not always like successful at it. I'm still learning. But I've got that. And I feel like many people don't. But because I've got that, then something like this is not gonna throw me off balance. And, well, the reason I'm talking about it at all is that I used to really fear something like this happening. Because, I do pay attention. And when I see people in my profession who have had this happen and who are just like spiraling or something, then it creates fear for me. I'm like, what would I do if I was in that position? And so I think it might also be because I like astrology and I've studied my own natal chart so much, and so I've seen like what looks like a potential for this. Because astrology, it doesn't predict events. It's not going to tell you like what's going to happen. But if you are into astrology and you're seeing something like this, like I am, makes you think. So that's kind of the response that I have had to seeing that. It just makes me think. So that makes me think more deeply about this. It doesn't make me go, oh, this is totally going to happen to me. It doesn't make me go, I want this or I don't want this. It just goes, okay, maybe I should think about it. Kind of like just in case. So, but that in the past used to create so much fear in me, because I'm like, I like acting, but I don't do it for validation. Because these days, I validate myself. That's what I'm teaching myself right now. And I know a lot of people want this, want fame for validation. And I'm not one to judge whatever you want. Like, if you want this, genuinely want this, then I think, yeah, whatever. Like, you can live a life like that. You could attract something like that in your life. It would manifest. But I would just pose you this question. If you feel like you really want this, is this a pure desire of yours? Of like, I really want that fame itself? Or is this, I want to be admired, I want to be validated, I want attention? Because if it's just a pure desire, you would genuinely like to experience a life like that, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if it's more like validation seeking, then my thought would be that you might have some like unmet needs in your life. That it's not that you want this specifically, but you translate having unmet needs through this. You translate that the answer where you would have your needs met would be this fame thing. And then, I don't know, I feel like it creates this thing, like expectation that you might spiral if that happens, because it's not actually about this lifestyle. It's more about validation. I don't know, I just feel like it's something to think about. If you actually want this. Again, I don't feel one way or another. Like, I don't have I want this. And I'm also not like, oh my god, I hope this never happens to me. I used to be like that when I had that fear. Because I just thought it's gonna destabilize my life, and then what? Because, it's something I feel like you can't go back from. Once this kind of event happens, it's kind of with you for life. And it's like nothing's the same after that, right? So I'm just simply posing to you this question. If you are an artist of any kind, especially somebody in the creative field, maybe it's worth like understanding, what is my relationship to something like this, because it does happen to people like us. Not because you are yearning for this, but because it just happens sometimes. And if you say, well, it's never gonna happen to me, you can't know this. You can't like reliably 100% know this. So even if you think that, I still think it's worth thinking about. And so I used to have that fear, but now I have just really examined like what the fear is about. And I think it's just about, it's not about my life changing. I'll be honest. It's not about my life changing. That was so interesting for me to discover. It's about me being in some kind of emotional upheaval that I can't get out of. And it's about like people knowing things that I don't want them knowing, or things like that, because I am just so private. The emotional regulation has really helped me. So, like, for one, it has helped me to resolve a lot of these feelings of the fear. But then also, like, real life examples. Like, I'm just reminded of this specific example, and this was a while ago, but somehow I became aware of this. And so this was Eliza Dushku revealing that she like used to have addiction issues. And like, as far as I am aware, nobody knew about this. And this, like, as far as I know, she had these issues like right at like at the peak of her fame. But I don't think there were ever any like scandals or anything about that. Literally nobody knew about this. And then when she came with this years later, because I think she thought that, it would help people, which it did. But she came with this years later, everyone was kind of surprised. And then when I learned about this, I was also surprised. For one thing, like, I'm sad that this happened to her, that, somebody has been through something like this, obviously. It's difficult, and I can't even imagine what that's like. But that, in the context of, like, this video, and, like, why I'm talking about this, is that it's not the addiction reveal that stood out to me. What stood out to me is that somehow she went through all of this, and nobody knew. She went through all of this while there was daily life happening, like appearances, interviews, whatever, and nobody knew. When I learned of this, I was just like, I was in awe, because how do you even do something like this? Because that's a lot of really heavy shit, and nobody knew. And it didn't turn into a scandal, just because, for a lot of other people, it does. Like, I've seen that before, that it turns into something really big. But here, nothing. And so, that was actually, like, strangely calming and reassuring to me, because I was like, hey, so clearly, even though even with fame like this, it seems that you might have more control than I previously thought, which is like the thing that I was afraid of, that people would just like know, personal things, and that I would have no control over that. And so when I learned about this, then I was just like, damn, like, I wish I could ask. Because that's, like, how do you even do this? Seriously. But it was just, I'm just glad to know that somebody did this. Even under, like, such pressure, somebody was able to, like, control. Somebody was able to control what people saw. And nothing, like, outwardly public happened. And then, like, even today, like, she just seems to appear whenever she wants to, and then otherwise no one really knows anything. And so that just makes me think. It just makes me go, well, that's calming. because I might have more control than I previously thought if something like that were to ever happen. And so that's just another thing that helped me, like these specific examples, just knowing somebody did this. Someone is able to live like a normal life even though they have fame. So that actually helped me get over that fear a lot. I know that even though I'm not famous, I'm still in a public position. I mean, I have this YouTube channel or 2 YouTube channels, but also I'm not like an anonymous voice actor or something. I do have a presence, however small. And so this already makes me really aware of what I am doing and how I am doing it. So if you follow my other channel, so you would know that I tell a lot of these law of attraction and manifestation stories and all that, and I often mention my friends, for example. But I'm deliberately careful. If you watch a lot of these videos, you would notice a pattern, which is that I never mention anyone by name. And all the stories that I tell, I try to tell them in a very general sense that I know would be significant to a larger audience, because a lot of people go through these things. And so I am never so and so went through this exact thing about my own circle. I never expose people like that. And if I do talk about something, you can be sure that there's been a conversation about it. Or I just know very clearly that it's okay for me to talk about this thing. And if I ever did mention somebody by name, then you could know for sure that I have asked this person for permission. That conversation has already happened way before this video. And this person knows exactly what I'm going to say. So, I'm very careful about that. And this is, it's not being fake or something. This is just me protecting the people around me in a way that also enables me to be me and me to be authentic and me to still tell relevant stories and give relevant examples when I'm talking about things. So it's kind of I could be talking to the president of Estonia every single day. The president could be my best friend and you wouldn't even know about it. That could be the case. And nobody would know because I am just that private. And I'm that way naturally because it's not anybody's business, Everything that I talk about and how I talk about, you would notice that I do it in very general terms every single time. And that's on purpose. I'm choosing to do it this way because I know that if you are a public figure of any kind, even something like this, just videos on the internet, you're still a public figure. So you gotta be careful. You gotta watch what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I'm trying to make other artists and actors think about it. If you're someone like me. Because just imagine for a second that you do become known. It doesn't have to be worldwide fame or something. You could be known in your own country. You could be known in a specific community. You could be known just on the internet. There are degrees of being known. But as soon as that happens, people are gonna show up and they're gonna start looking at what you've been doing and how you've been doing it. And so there's especially if you're an artist, there's already a record of what you're doing right now, even if nobody knows of you. I don't know, I just think it's important to think about, just to consider. But most of all, I think, as an artist, as an actor, even one that's not known at all, it is worth thinking about what is my relationship to fame if it were to happen. Well, if you're anything like me, my brain just likes to create a plan for even a perceived event or an event that possibly could happen. Because I don't want to be in that place where I'm like lost or anxious. And it helps me in the present moment too, because I'm like, every time I see somebody famous or I think about fame as a subject, it doesn't cause me instability anymore, because I'm like, you know what? If this were to happen, I know what to do. I have the tools to regulate myself no matter what happens. It's just a condition, just another condition as anything else, even if my life would like totally change. Because I've gone from I'm really scared of this, I hope this like never happens, to, you know what, if it does happen, it's fine. I'm gonna figure this out. Just like I have figured other things out before. Like my life has never stopped, even when I've been in an uncertain place, unsure place. It has never stopped. I have always figured things out. It's been the constant. And now when I like actually practice this emotional regulation by myself, for myself, I'm even better at figuring things out. At least emotionally. I'm not so shaken by things anymore. And you know, fame itself, like just as a thing, as a condition, it has never like impressed me. Like I am not impressed by somebody being high status. Like, yeah, I recognize this. I go, clearly you have done work, and it, like good work, that has resulted in something like this. So I recognize this as an achievement or an accomplishment, but that's not how who people are to me. It's just a condition of your life. But like if I talk to a famous person, I'm not like, oh my god. I don't get that kind of like fangirl thing, if that makes sense. I used to get it when I was younger. Yeah, then I did. But now, especially because I myself am in a field where this could happen, I just kind of view these people as peers, even if we have no relation, because we're in the same field or used to be in the same field or whatever. So I'm not impressed by that. I'm just like, this is just another condition of your life. But if I had you here and we were talking, I would discover very quickly that we are just people. We just each have a lot of other conditions in our lives as well. And those might even be like the same kinds of conditions. Like you've got problems here or unanswered questions here, or somebody is sick in your life, somebody is sick in my life. Things like that, you know? It doesn't create that kind of like barrier in my head where I'm like, this person is so totally different and from another planet than me. It's just a condition. And a personal achievement. And that's it. And you know, overall, I'm just like, if this did happen, like if I became famous somehow, now I just even just like joke to myself about it. I'm like, I don't know if they can handle me. I used to be like, I don't know if I can handle this fame. But now I'm like, I don't know if they can handle me. What with my manifestation talk and energy talk and all that. I don't know if these people are ready for me, especially me insisting that I'm gonna be myself no matter what. That's like my main thing. I just want to be me. But overall, I know that my relationship to the subject now is that I'm not chasing it. It's not like a thing that I want. But if it did happen, I know I would be okay. And that's just that, like, this has helped my brain calm down about like the profession that I do. That's all I've been thinking about. And it's taken a while to get to this place, to get to this, I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't have to worry about this. And if that were to ever happen, I would know what to do. I would figure it out just like I always do. So, but I am just making this video for other actors who are like me out there, or just artists in general. Maybe it's worth thinking about, what does your relationship to fame, if it were to happen? Because remember, most people that this did happen to either didn't think about it or were just completely destabilized once it did happen. They also thought, this is never gonna happen to me. And so these are just my thoughts about it. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of this, and maybe it made you think. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.